Hello. Welcome, everybody. My name is Alckemy. We have a brand new camera feature set up. So hopefully my aesthetic looks a little bit nicer. I am pleased to say that my new album Eclipse is available on all major platforms. And I think that today we're just going to have a listen to it. And then as soon as we're done, we will get into some production. So I think that it would be kind of cool to just go through the album. It's only like 30 minutes long anyways. So within that, you can, kind of get an idea about what I do. But thanks, Aaron. Aaron, I'm not sure if you're part of the Discord, by the way, but you can go, if you're a member, you can go into the Discord and grab a copy of it. And that's available to all tier members. But yeah, so what I was thinking was we can go and we can have a listening party and just kind of, yay, Alckemy, put some, or Ian, or whatever the fuck you want to call me these days, put out some music. And then we can get into like some actual production and being like, oh, well, this is how I make, or here are the sounds that I make, and here is the first example about how I had already used that stuff. So with that being said, maybe I'll just wait a couple minutes, see how everybody is doing, and then we'll take a listen to the album. And if you are not a member but you want to support the album, you can get it at alckemy.com. If you want to just listen to it, it's also available on alckemy.com. It's available on Spotify. It's available on iTunes, whatever the heck you like doing, whatever the heck in the heck you want to do. But I mean, yeah, exciting times. Thank you. It's got 9 tracks. Everything is kind of thematic, but yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of just, I'm really just happy, happy and relieved. Damn, someone came in, liked the video, and then unliked the video, and then left. Let's go. Hi, Nico. So yeah, just a little bit of history. I don't want to bore you all to death, but a little bit of history about this is in 2019 I started streaming, and that was after I released my first EP, which was Insomnia. No, it's the same one. It's just Ventura updated, and now they have all this like cool, like, this is just my camera phone, but look how nice it looks. It looks so nice. So yeah, during that time I went through an insanely, hey Sleeping State, glad to catch a live one. Good luck with your new album. Thank you. We're gonna listen to it here in just a second, but yeah, so in 2019 I released my first EP, Insomnia, and to try to promote it I actually started the YouTube channel. And it was really cool because I didn't really expect the channel to, well, it didn't really take off. I had one really good video, which was a comprehensive guide to Neurobase, which led us to, well, here we are now. And then from there, I've kind of just been trying to make lightning strike twice. Thanks, Chuckles. I really appreciate it. So from that, I went through this like crazy funk. Yeah, the portrait blur mode is really nice. And I also really like the studio one. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked, but I really enjoy this update for the video effects if you have an iPhone. But the studio light makes my face kind of pop out. See, this is a little bit more neutral, where the background is highlighted and I'm kind of dark, but I really like that this is kind of, well, except now I've got an aura, so I'm going Super Saiyan or something, but it should fix itself. But yeah, I like this a lot, and I think that it looks very nice. So sorry guys, I'm trying to get all my thoughts together. My coffee cup's still full. Anyways, I went through this crazy mental block in 2019, and then 2021, always late with updating iOS. I don't blame you. I just had this crazy mental block and just went through these crazy phases. I had some crazy stuff happen in my life, and I was writing very obscure music, which I actually still really enjoy, but it wasn't really what I wanted to do. And it's just an effect. No worries. Yeah, it's just an effect. And it wasn't until I met Cage and also got in contact with Zane Wolf. Those guys helped me, not necessarily directly, but they gave me the tools and the perspective that I needed to finish this album. So big ups to you guys. I love you both very much. And also Cheese Masterclass. If you guys want to make halftime, then this is a result of Cheese Masterclass that you all should definitely check out. Hey Das, what's good, bro? So yeah, I think I didn't really want to wait to see how many viewers I was going to get. I just wanted a couple of people in here, so I wasn't listening to the album by myself, because I've listened to it 1,000 times by myself. So let's go ahead and kind of just jump in if you guys are ready. And I think like what we can do as well is like, I'll kind of just, I mean, we're just going to jam out, but at the same time, if anybody has any questions about like, oh, how was this made? Or, oh, how did you do this? Then I'd be more than happy to kind of like, I don't know, maybe wait till the tune is over, or like take like breaks in between and then be like, oh, hey, how did you do this? And then like go over something like that. I don't know if you all would be interested in that or not, but pretty much this entire album, except for Wall Chicken, was made on stream. So yeah. Do I have a visual plugin? I don't. I do, but it doesn't work that well. Hey Alex. I do, but it doesn't work very well. I have Volta Create, and I guess we could try it. Do you guys want to just maybe spend a couple minutes seeing if I can get it to work? Because it doesn't, yeah. Analyzer, maybe? I suppose. Well, I can't really do that either, because I'm going to be playing it through iTunes. Let me see what we can do. Maybe. It's already not happy. Please. 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 So yeah, while we wait, how's everyone doing today? How are you guys? How is life? How are things? The hours I spent, the Windows Media Player days. A new version. Okay. Let's see. Do you guys want to pick one? Maybe? I don't really want to make one, but do you want to pick one? I need to move this over so I can see chat. There's Pink Wasabi Hotness, Kinetic World, Endless. Where's that? Oh, right here. Fuzzy Logic is cool. Also, hi. Hi, Dash. How's it going, bro? New studio. Life is good. You got a new studio? I'm fine. Thanks, dude. How's you? Also, sir. Hey, Jamie. And Panopticon. What? How does it feel to finish the Peace album? That feels good. I'm ready to work on the next thing already, though. That's awesome, man. Congrats, dude. Device. Loopback audio. And let's just... I'm going to pull this over here. Hopefully this works, because that would be very cool. I need something. Let's see. Oh, it kind of works. Let me see if it works with... Oh, dope. It works. Sort of. Feels like it's gonna work. Hey, Lapidus, what's good? All right, guys. Are you all ready for the album? Any last words? It's not gonna be super dramatic, but it is something that we can kind of just get into. But how do I full screen this bitch? Or how do I make this stuff go away? There we go. Alrighty. Sound good? Everything good? Let's go. There's some crazy projects that use your webcam too. Yeah, I've seen that. Those are really cool. I do love Volta Create. It's really nice. I want to talk about this tune after it's done. They put me in the 3D world. In a world full of tacos, Alckemy might actually shut the fuck up so we can enjoy the album. Okay, so I wanted to talk about this really quickly, and about why I made this tune the way that it was. So this is an homage to Hudson Lee. Hudson, if you catch this by chance, thank you for everything that you taught me. But hey, Smiling. Ketamine with friends. Oh damn, it seems a tad quiet. Also, Volta seems to not be very reactive. That's what she said. Hey, George. So I thought probably needs more volume, but I'm wrong. I think I can set the sensitivity up, but I mean, yeah, this says that it's hidden at 0 dB on my end. So I don't know. But so the reason why it is what it is was because the last thing that I released, which is not on platforms, but it's on I think it's somewhere. I think it's on SoundCloud or something, but I released Tales from the Coffin, which was like my debut like music stuff for Alucard. But the musical style was kind of like free written and doesn't really have like a direction. It just kind of has like textures and ambience and stuff. But so it was stuff like that, and so I wanted the first tune of the album to kind of be like, hey, we're transitioning out of that and then going into something different. So with that, I wanted to do something that, for one, I love writing in that way, and I wanted to just have that as part of the album. And also just like keep up with that style of composition, because I think that I really appreciate that style of composition, and that helped me a lot in 2021. But that was kind of the segue of the like Alucard album, or like the namesake, to transitioning into what we're getting into now, which is like the more like dancey halftime stuff. Because that tune, the first one, is kind of like signaling a transition, or like almost like all right, I'm regathering myself, and then I'm going to give you something different, if that makes sense. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think that this in general is very reactive. I could try to see if I could adjust the settings. Advanced settings. That might be helpful. So yeah, it's a matter of rebuilding and stuff. So that's why I called it Reanimate. It was like, all right, time out. We're gonna try this shit again. So, referring to the tune, by the way. Wait a minute, guys. Alucard is Dracula backwards. Holy shit. Loving your progress, homie. Big respect for all the legends in the chat. Yeah, as well, man. George, if you're leaving, you can catch this later. It'll be it'll be public, assuming I don't die. But yeah, are you guys ready for the next tune? I don't know if I'll do commentary between each one, unless if you all want me to. I'm more than happy to talk about it, but I kind of just want to let you all enjoy the album, or I don't know. It's whatever you all want to do. Okay, I'll do that then. All right, I'm gonna turn the mic back off and listen to Eyes Wide. So this tune I actually had a lot of help on. Zane Wolf was in the chat. This was most of this album was made on stream. Reanimate, actually the only thing that was not made on stream, I believe, was half of Phantoms and half of Blood Cloak, but and Wall Chicken. Wall Chicken was made actually last year, but it fit the album, so I wanted to toss that on, and I'll talk about that when we get to it. But Zane Wolf was in here, and he was kind of just guiding me along as I was writing, and he helped me. He actually just like described to me how to do the vocals, which I think is the highlight of this tune as well. Is just the hype stuff of, you know, keep my eyes wide, and we were joking, and I wrote lyrics down and stuff. And I'm gonna go back to the streams after the past month. I fixed them after the stream, right? Yeah, I did a whole different stream of me just mixing the album, or like mixing parts of the album, trying to mix anyways. But from that, yeah, Zane just kind of came through and was like, here, this is how you do it. And then from there on, like almost every other tune in here has some kind of like vocal processing from me. So could I show the vocal someday? Yeah, I think I already did in the earlier streams, but it's just me rapping, and I just process it with some of the generator stuff that I have in Faceplant or in Snapheat, and then just compress the shit out of it, and then kind of like try to find placement. The hardest part of it is not the quality of the sound, but actually the timing. So what I did was I put the metronome on really quiet, and then I had some lyrics written down, and then I just kind of like rapped it to the tempo, and then everything else became very easy after that. But yeah, Zane, if you're looking at this, thank you for helping me finish this one. That was really cool. Did I use autotune? No, I'm not an autotune person. That's a no-no. All right, so yeah, the next one is Soul Steel, and this one I just tried to go a little bit harder and harder and harder, and that's really what this album is about, is just trying to be like make the hardest beats that I can. Let's get to it. Yeah, that's one of my favorites. Um, so I was working on just the beat part, like the and I tried like several bass lines and I could not get it to work. TJ Khaled. And so what I did was I was like, you know what? I think if I just simplify and make a bass that is just like a pitch down thing, then it yeah, that ended up working. The other thing is that on that bass on the first one, I tried to do this like ring mod on mid side only to where it was like and it wasn't really quite working out, and so I ended up changing that last minute. But yeah, the whole thing behind Soul Steel was like I just wanted to have a bunch of moving parts and just like change the dance very quickly. And it is a little bit erratic, but at the same time, like it still kind of has something that's like, I mean, at least as far as my opinion, from start to finish, you know, it has a kind of a long intro, but then once the dance starts, it's like, okay, you're gonna dance the whole entire tune. There's no breaks in between. Hey Victor, how's it going? So yeah, I love that tune though. My label is Soul Steel Recordings, so I wanted to make something that was kind of reflective of that. And I just love I love like hard beats, you know. Just every tune is just me trying to be like Chi. So what can you say? All right, next up is Doppelgangster. So this tune is about my brother. Whenever he is feeling himself, he has this walk where he's like walking backwards like this and kind of struts. If you guys have seen the Powerpuff Girls, he's there's an episode with the boogeyman and he gets out of the limo and he's like walking like this completely. Hey Zizzy. And so that's pretty much what this tune reminds me of. So yeah, I'm just gonna hop into it. I love this tune. Oh, the other thing with that tune was it was super inspired by Sleaze. The chi is strong within this one. The biting is strong within this one. Um, so yeah, this tune was really inspired by Shades, Sleaze. I forget the riff of it because I've got this riff stuck in my head now. But um, something that I really appreciated about a lot of those tunes that like EPROM and Alex Perez together make is that they usually take like one riff and they kind of like just make the riff as cool as possible and then keep the drums super simple. So I didn't really have a lot of like crazy moving parts within this tune. It was more of just like, how do I make a sound or make a bass that's large enough to carry the energy of the tune, make the drums kind of match it, and then just simplify it to where you can really just focus on the bum 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 bum. And that was like, how do you say, like that was really just the goal of the tune. And once you have that, it becomes really easy to keep writing because um, it was more just about the riff, really, just about the riff. Because once you have the riff, then you just like make a different, like you modulate the bass a little bit, which is something I talked about in Monday's masterclass. Sorry. Um, but you just kind of change the bass just a little bit, but you play the riff. And I really just did that like 4 times. And then I had just a couple of fills where I was like, oh, this would be cool to insert like some neuro bass stuff. And so it was like dun 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 dun, and that way it doesn't like take away from the vibe. If anything, it enhances it because it creates the anticipation. But the drums are pretty simple. I think it was a kick, snare, hi-hat, and then like there was like this kind of like dot 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 towards the end of the tune. But it's weird because like simpler, less is more sometimes, I believe. And that was probably this one, and Post Resurrection Shower, which is coming up next, is probably the least like amount of tracks within the tune, but they sound pretty full. So hey, Abyss Mode. Post Resurrection Shower I wrote as an interlude. Flesh Interface was in the channel, and I was like not really feeling it when I made it, and then I listened to it again, and I was like, you know what, it's not so bad. I think that it would kind of serve as a cool little interlude to the rest of the album. But the idea behind it was that, I don't know if you guys have heard Copycat's Drunk. It was on an EP, but it was just like a minute and a half, and I was like, I kind of just wanted to do something like that. I was just like, oh, this is dope. All right, boom, da bam, da bam, da bam. And I don't know, I just always loved that tune. And so with that, I decided to kind of try to make something like in that same style. So let's go ahead and listen to that one. Turn this off. That one was pretty short. Like I said, it was just meant to be like a little beat sketch or a jam. Initially, it was called Feeling Kind of Glonky. I don't know if you guys have seen that meme or not, but this guy is like, hey, do you know these lyrics? And he's like, how you feeling, man? He's like, oh, I'm feeling kind of glonky. But that's how I was feeling that day. But I thought that in the same spirit, Post-Resurrection Shower was pretty funny because, imagine imagine waking up, 300 years later or something and smelling yourself. You're probably like, oh man, I need to fucking clean up and refresh. And so that's kind of where the idea of that name came in. Yeah, it's kind of like, right, that's kind of how it is, right? It's like groggy and stuff, and you're just like, oh man, I need to get my shit together or something. Or I don't know, you probably have to take a dump after waking up hundreds of years later. So the next one is another one of my favorites, which is Phantoms. Yeah, we're into the second half of the album now. We've got 4 more tunes, and then we'll get into some bass design. Yeah, like after a rough night out, and you need you need to take like orange juice and an aspirin or something just to get rid of your hangover. But yeah, let's go ahead and peep Phantoms.
get my soul. They reach in my shadow when they dwell. I won't let them get to me.
Yeah, I love that one. So the if you listen to the structure of that one, it's actually Dentist in My Sleep. Yikes. It's very similar to Soul Steel because it kind of starts with like a clap type scenario. It's like and then it goes into like I guess like a one up section or something like that. But I tried to do something very similar to what I did with Eyes Wide. And I was kind of playing around with lyrics and stuff. It's in the description. It's .alucard. There should actually just be a direct link to it. But yeah, with that, the 808s I feel really helped like make the tune come alive, and they were just very short and percussive, but the boom 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 made it like really feel like it was super bouncy. And then when that really big sustained bass comes in, it was a nice contrast because the 808 was kind of rubber bandy and it still sounded cool. It had that. And then when it got into like the boop 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 boop, stuff like that, I feel like was a nice like way to I feel like that was a nice way to kind of like just progress the story of the tune anyways. And then like when the lyrics came in of phantoms in my sleep, keep my soul out their reach, in my shadows where they dwell, I won't let them get to me. Hey Puny. That's kind of like, that was a really cool breakdown, and most of my tunes don't have a breakdown, but after that it was like really cool to bring back the 808 and like just kind of change the bass line a little bit, but really let the vocal play out, where it's like phantoms in my sleep, phantoms in my sleep. So that was really fun to make. That whole process, actually most of this entire album has been just like really fun writing. I've really enjoyed writing the most of it. What I did not enjoy doing was mixing it, and that's probably the weakest part of this entire album is I allowed myself to mix and master this. So what can you say? But in any case, I love that tune. Yeah, every vocal in here was me. It's all me. I did all my own vocals. The only thing, I'm trying to think if there was anything that was like not original that I did. There might be some contact instruments here and there, but this album is like 99% me from scratch. And that's something that I really appreciate and will always love about this album too. Well, actually most of my music anyways is like, these are all my sounds, right? And as a sound designer, I couldn't be more proud. I was really afraid of like being one of those people that was just like a YouTuber that's like, oh, here's a cool sound, but I make like really crappy music. And it wasn't crappy music to everybody else, it was crappy music to me. So this album was a really big I don't want to say ego boost, but it was a really big confidence booster in like, yo, like you can make good tunes, you can make good music, you can make something that people will enjoy on a more accessible scale, as opposed to just making sound designers music as well. Because Tales of the Coffin, I would even say The Infinite Corridor and The Source of Nightmares is very sound designer. Like, unless if you're a sound designer, I feel like it would be hard to appreciate because it doesn't really have anything melodic or musical. It's all just rhythm and abstract sounds. But yeah, this was also just like, I always wanted to make Halftime, and this was kind of like, okay, I can do this. I can actually make the halftime. Sound design improves mixing too, right? Well, I think it makes it easier to mix. You know, like it makes you more aware of things that you're doing, like going into the process and like your sound selection and all that, as opposed to just outright getting better at mixing. So like I think indirectly, yes, but not necessarily. Like mixing is also sound design, so you can push and pull that either way you wanted to. But yeah. Well, anyways, once Phantoms came out, or once I finished Phantoms, I was like, I have enough for an EP. I could just release this right now. And then I kept getting inspired. And the tune that I wrote after Phantoms was Postmodern or Post-Resurrection Shower. And then after that, I was like, I want to do another one. And then I wrote Doppelgangster. And then I was like, I want to do another one. Sorry, I wrote Blood Cloak. And then I was like, I want to do another one. I wanted to do Doppelgangster. And then after that, that was like, all right, I've got enough halftime tunes in here. I wanted to do something that was at least like one IDM tune, which we're getting into here in just a second, but we're gonna listen to Blood Cloak first. My favorite, I don't know. Like I picked every tune on this album because I liked every tune on this album. It wasn't like I need to release something and have like this amount of tracks or whatever. It was like, this is my favorite out of all the 72 tunes that I've made, which is ironic because it's the last 9 or most of the last 9. These are my favorite tracks that I've made that kind of fit that. Yeah, if you like kind of have some forethought going into the sound design itself, then there's that. Yo, thanks Jordan, I really appreciate it. So yeah, and thank you all for being here. Yeah, let's go ahead and listen to the next tune though. I'm tired of blabbering. Blah. So yeah, Blood Cloak kind of came together with wanting to do something that was like, I guess, drawing a conclusion to the theme of the album, which obviously like I relabeled myself as Alucard, and there's definitely, I sound like Cabal. That's funny. Some sort of hi-hat type of noise would be good in there. There are hi-hats and stuff. The album's done. It's already released, so there's nothing that I can change in here. But within that, I wanted this to again kind of take over, and this is like me starting to understand the relationship between like bass and drums, and about how to like if you have a bass that's really aggressive, then you tend to pull back on the percussion because you let that kind of play. More acoustic hi-hats. Oh, I don't know. But yeah, so like the bigger your bass or the more busy your elements, the less that you want to like have overbearing percussion, and the more percussion that you have, the more staccato you want your elements to be, because you want to enhance the rhythm as opposed to like trying to just like cloud it. And so within this tune though, like the whole theme of this like album of Eclipse is pretty much, obviously if you haven't been able to tell, is a very Castlevania thing. Yeah, stop spreading the seeds of doubt. But within this, I put in like vocals and stuff and like memes and like homages to Symphony of the Night. Or, what is a man? Nothing but a miserable pile of secrets. And then Alucard has a famous line of, "I've come to destroy this castle," which I thought was really cool. So I kind of just did a voiceover of me saying those and kind of put them in. So I think that it was just a really cool thing to do something that was like Castlevania inspired without like doing what I did with My Beloved. My Beloved was pretty much became like, it started as something that was completely original, and then it became something that was like a remix of one tune, and then it became a cover of another tune, and I wanted to do something very different with that. So I dig the industrial-esque sounds of Perks in that one. Thanks. I mean, with the percussion, I kind of just like take something from XO and then I resample it. So if it ends up becoming industrial, it's just because of the effect processing. It's not really necessarily like I wanted this to be industrial. Usually when I go for things that are industrial, like I'll have a very specific like processing thing within that. Thanks, Evan. I appreciate it, dude. How you choose the names for tunes? I struggle to find the names for mine. Well, I mean, it depends. Like, it depends on like, a lot of times the names for tunes come together like after it's made, or after like when you're starting to put an album together. Because I changed the name of one of them. Which, except for this tune I have been thinking about for like 6 months before I wrote it. But it's called Gray Fox. My middle name is Gray. This is more of an homage to Metal Gear Solid. I don't think you need so much highs in those tunes. It already sounds amazing, man. Thanks. But yeah, let's go ahead and listen to. Yeah. And really, like, you know what is, and with that as well, Dash, is like if you actually go into a tune and you name, like you write down names for tunes and then you write out like little stories and stuff, sometimes I can actually help, like Boner Wednesdays. I don't even know what that means. That can actually help guide you with your arrangement process if you're like into like storytelling and stuff. So that's actually how Tales of the Coffin was written. I wrote stories to each one. So like Robot Dies in a Forest, I was like, all right, I wrote out scenes and then I composed those scenes. If I don't name songs when I work on something, I almost never finish them. That's interesting. Yeah, that is really good. If your music has context plus a story to go with it. Right. It helps. Well, it kind of helps you like figure out the story, right? You should start with just beats. Just make a beat and then make an intro to the beat and then make an outro to the beat, and then you're good to go. All right, so this one is Gray Fox. Yeah, my middle name is Gray. It's kind of like an homage to Metal Gear Solid. Not like directly, except for maybe one vocal in here. But within this, like this was like another, like this whole, I feel like this entire album was me just building confidence within myself, within my production, because I'm in such a good place with music production that I'm like, you know what? I don't remember how I did any of this shit. But going into my next tune, I don't care, because I now have the forethought and I have the right perspective about how to finish whatever it is that I jump into. So as opposed to being like, and this was one of the biggest mistakes that I made of my first EP. I was like, I got to do better. I got to take everything that I learned and then I got to do better. And like, no, it's not like that at all. Forget everything and just focus on making the music and focus on what is happening in the moment and allow yourself to guide yourself to the finish line, even if your quality does this. And once you have that, well, they can't. Well, sometimes I don't know if I agree with that or not. They don't. Yeah, I mean, they don't need to be titled, but they can help with the story, right? Or they can help with like the picture or the imagination, right? But yeah, dude, mindset is everything. But I can say that as opposed, like if you're just finishing an album or something, like don't be like, oh, I got to do better and this and that. Like, it's a good goal to have, but you should just focus on making music because that's what you were focused on when you were making the album. Or at least for me, that's what I was focused on. It was like, I just want to make this album. I just want to make this. And I don't care. I'm not trying to remember all these techniques and shit that I picked up along the way and this and that. It's more of like, I just wanted to finish the tune. So if you just try to finish the tune, if you just put your effort into finishing what you make, even if it's garbage, then I think that your chances of success and also your chances of growth will increase exponentially. So yeah, Gray Fox, that's the next tune. And then the last one is low-key, like it's almost memes, but anyway, let's go ahead and listen to this one. So that was the last tune that I wrote on the album. It was also the last major production thing. I'm not really sure if it's me, if my ears are whatever, but I feel like something might be going on with loopback or something, because my speakers are make it sound like the bass is just overblown, and I'm I'm pretty sure I didn't mix it that way. But in any case, it could just be from something happening with the sound card or whatever, but hopefully the mix doesn't sound too fucking shitty. Anyways, yeah, I wanted to do at least one IDM tune. So even though I would say that this is a halftime album, sounded fair on mine. Okay. Yeah. Even though this was a halftime album, IDM was something that I really, really ingrained way back since 2018. And so I think that almost every album that I do, if I ever make another album again, because I'm kind of just going to focus on singles and stuff, the mix sounded really good actually. Okay, I'm not sure what happened there, or why it sounds so blown out on my end, but I think that's just has something to do with the loopback. But yeah, I wanted to this is obviously this is my first album, so I wanted it to have a little bit of everything that I do to some extent. And it has the freeform tunes. It's got halftime in it. It's got different kinds of halftime in it. It has an IDM tune, because Glitch is obviously, I think more people know me for Glitch than anything, actually. So yeah, what can you say? And then the last tune on here is just kind of a memes that kind of ties everything up. It's I guess a outro to the album, which is called Wall Chicken. So again, if you've played Castlevania, you would know that, when you're going through the castle, you can whip the wall and then a piece of chicken comes out and gives you health. So that's why it's called that. But yeah, Gray Fox is really just about me just being for one, I wanted to have an IDM tune, but it was also something that I was man, I feel like I found myself within music. A angry video game nerd? Yeah, I have. But yeah, I feel like I found myself within music, especially within this album, and it took me hundreds of tracks to do, but I'm not really at that place anymore where I'm man, my shit sucks and this and that. It's more of just all right, well, I'm at where I'm at, and I'm confident in my sound design. I'm confident in my composition. I still want to get better, of course, but it's really just a matter of dude, you're making tunes, so what the fuck ever. You're making tunes. Have his voice joking about Wall Chicken. I'd have to rewatch that one because I don't remember his one on Castlevania, but yeah. I need to get more comfortable with what I make. Yeah, and or just quantity over quality. Just keep writing. And even for me, as happy as I am with this album and as much as I appreciate it, I'm already all right, I just want to keep writing. I just want to keep making tunes. And I kind of am forcing myself to take a little bit of a break, to just be slow down, relax, fucking play a game, do something different. But I'm already I want to make more halftime. I want to make more beats. I want to make more banger stuff. I really just want to pump out as much as I can, and build on this momentum that I have in general. I don't feel like just because I release an album that I have to stop the momentum. But I just enjoy writing. I think that there's just this really cool thing that's happened as a byproduct of streaming all the time within the channel. Found a random generator, play music and play with music. Right. What was I saying? So yeah, I found this really cool happy place with doing streaming, because most of this was done on stream. So if you remember, you can go and watch how I'd say 80% of this was made. But the other thing is that most of this shit was done in 1 or 2 days, 3 at the most. And so by having this aspect of efficiency, I'm not saying that this is the most profound music ever. I'm not saying that I'm the best and anything else of the sort, but the process of the beat writing, I have practiced this to death. And now it's just a matter of, all right, well, let's sketch a beat and then let's just finish the arrangement, and then we can either keep working on it or whatever. But man, it's so fun to just be all right, kick, snare, bass, blah, blah, blah. Just write the fucking tune. And then if I hate it, I don't have to release it. If I like it, it can go into the next project, or it can go as a single, or it can go into something as different. But the challenge of writing music efficiently, on stream, to keep things interesting, for one, to keep people engaged, but two, to try to like finish the project within the time window that I have has been extremely liberating in a weird and awkward way. I don't have to sit there and fucking fiddle with something for hours and hours on end. It reminds me to just be like, just move on, just resample it, do some whole other shit. Or if it's not working, then simplify the idea and then write the outro. Or if you're really stuck on this one detail and you can't get it right, fuck the detail, just finish the tune or just finish the arrangement, and then you can go back and try to fix whatever fucking problem you've created for yourself. But yeah, I think that the only thing that I really want to focus on now is just better composition and just better mixing. But let's go ahead and wrap this album up so I can get into some sound design. Thank you all so much for being here. I really hope that you've enjoyed the album so far. I've really enjoyed making it. Wall Chicken was made in 2021. There's actually a tutorial on Wall Chicken. Creative freedom. But yeah, there's a whole tutorial on how to make halftime in 8-bit, and that ended up becoming Wall Chicken. So that was from sometime last year. But let's go ahead and take a listen to this guy. I'm going to turn everything down and do that because this doesn't even have an intro. Yeah, this is like wrapping the album up, and it's kind of memes, but whatever. So yeah, that's my album, guys. Yeah, this tune was the arrangement of it is like a Castlevania tune, like an old school one, you know, like as opposed to having like crazy transitions and stuff. The way that the way that those compositions work is it's just like part A, part B, part C, part D, and then it just repeats like on a loop. And so that's kind of what that was supposed to be. And a lot of this shit is low-key like sporadic, I guess you could say, but I do feel like there is kind of like this overarching theme of Eclipse in general. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed the album, you can listen to it on every platform. You can grab it off the website if you want to. If you're a member, then I'll just send it, or you can actually download it. So not trying to make sales or anything and whatever, but it's right here for download. So it doesn't matter what tier you are. It's just anybody that has supported the channel. It's just a means of like, it's the least that I could do. You know, you guys, my members and the people that have, you know, purchased my preset packs and all that stuff has allowed me to take the time to get where I'm at. And I hope that you know, like, even though I'm the one that like put the album together or whatever, like you guys gave me the time, the freedom of time, and the ability to pursue this as like a job, I guess, in some cases. And this is what I have to show for it. So thank you all. I really, like, this could not have been done without you. I hope that you all know that. So it's been fun learning with you. You're a chill dude. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, man. And that's why I'm dedicated to like teaching, and that's why I'm dedicated to like just sharing information and stuff, because this isn't like, I've never been that person that's like, oh, I'm an amazing producer, so you should support me. It's more of like, I'm learning, and as chat says, we're all learning together and stuff. I'm just kind of playing like band leader or something. Sponsored album, even if it was, you know, like it was actually, it was a sponsored album. You all, memberships are a sponsorship. You guys really sponsored me into, you know, into being able to do this kind of stuff. And I hope that I could just continue to do it for as long as possible. And I hope that you feel like within this relationship that we've created, I hope that you feel like I'm giving just as much as you guys are giving to me. So how many tracks do I usually work on simultaneously? Just one. I finish a track. I usually just finish the tune and then I move on to the next one. But I usually don't like put one away and then work on something else. I'm like, nope, just focus on this, get this done. Because I feel like my ideas would tend to start to like cross into each other, and I'll probably start writing the same shit. Teach us this trick? Which trick? How to backflip? I could do that. Finishing the song. Finishing the song is really just about loops. How to finish a track? I can do that. So yeah, that's the album, guys. We're not done streaming. I'm actually going to get into some production, but thank you all so much for listening. I can't tell you how thankful I am. So finishing a track is doing something like this. Hold on one second. You've got a kick or drums. You've got a bass loop. Doesn't even matter. You've got a chord progression usually or something like that. Something along the sorts of this, like 1, 2, 3, 4. And what you do is you are constantly working in loops. And once you have enough loops, then you arrange the tune, you make some kind of intro, and intro is really easy. So you do something like this to where you just take a piece of the sound. Hold on one second. I know that I'm like way oversimplifying this, but it's true. You do something like this to where you lead in. That's actually really cool. I'm going to duplicate this. So you do something kind of like that, and then you create a drum groove. So let's just pretend like this is our intro. It could be as simple as just a reverse sound, and then you go, all right, here we go. And then you hop right into it. Switch up the bass. You know? And then once you have something like all this, then you write a main section A, then you write a main section B, where you change a couple of things. On this, perhaps you change, you know, I'm just going to like color this a little bit different so that way you can see that it's like main section B. Maybe you switch up the drums a little bit, right? But you've got intro, main section A, main section B, then you have an outro, which you just kind of take a sample and duplicate it and then just do something like this. If you want to, you can actually just like drown it out in reverb. Hey bro, do I do track submissions? No, I do not. I do private lessons. And I also have a section in the Discord called Critique and Requests where you can submit stuff like that. So you just do something like this to where it's... And there's your outro. But literally, as shitty as this is, yeah, I actually had a student that got that from me, which was really cool. Thank you, Dr. Daniel. Really nice of him to do that. So you've got an intro, you've got a main section, you've got a main section switch up, and then you've got an outro, and then it's done. I just made a tune. It sucks. It's garbage, whatever. But that's all it is. So when you start thinking about putting things together in an aspect of loops, that's when finishing tunes really come alive. The reason why you don't finish tunes is because usually you're holding yourself back from something. But even if, you know, let's say this bass right here isn't working and you're like really hyper focused on this bar and it's like, I can't get this thing to fucking do the thing, then just write in a placeholder here of be like, switch it up, whatever, color it differently, and move on. And focus on getting the skeleton of the track out. What really helps you get into this, like before you get into like the actual arrangement aspect of it, is making sure that your main elements play nicely together. And so one of the biggest things, and I've talked about this, I talked about this on Monday, was like, if we're writing bass music, then it's all about bass and stuff, right? But one thing that I would highly suggest against is getting into this, where you've got this thing and you go snare, doesn't even fucking matter. Even if you're writing at like 140 or whatever, you can pick any tempo, it doesn't matter. But I would highly suggest, unless if you're writing something that is like a 4/4 kick or something, which to that extent, like that's definitely an exception. But I would highly suggest against making tunes that have like anything of a drum break sort like this. This is one of the biggest traps that you can run into, because what ends up happening is you become, honestly, you become a slave to the kick snare pattern. And then you're like, oh, I have to, like, now I'm supposed to make this interesting. Don't do that. Don't do that. What I would suggest instead is doing something like this, where you start with percussion. Because once you start with something that's percussive, this is not my idea, by the way. This was something that I learned from Cage. Thank you, Cage. Again, I cannot say enough amazing things about how well he understands like the producer struggles. Go take lessons from him if you get the chance. But coming up with something like this instead, where you turn all this other shit off and you focus on building a dope percussive loop. Yes. Percussion, percussion, percussion. Now, this you can work with, right? This, now I'm already into this. I'm already hearing what can come out through this, right? So you can take that second part right there with that little thing, like right here, and then you can finish up like that. But now this is immediately 10 times more interesting just from a percussive loop. But now that I have something like this, and it's a little bit swung, it's a little bit off, it's a little bit off time, we have this groove now that is so much more interesting, because now I can use this to guide my kick and snare. I can use this to guide, okay, whatever, the snare is going to be here, but who's to say that I don't make this a little bit late? Who's to say that, I don't move the snare around? And once you understand the idea about groove, especially within bass music or dance music, right? Dance music is all about the groove. It has to have a groove if you're going to dance, right? But now when you think about this, this is going to become so much more interesting to listen to. Use the groove. Abuse the groove. Place that right there. Make that short. But now that we have something like this, all right, so that doesn't quite fit because that's a little bit different, but we can place it right there. Or we can kind of move it around and try to make that fit, right? All right, so I don't really like that sound, but that's okay because we can just get rid of it if something isn't working. But that's when you get into manipulating, right? Before I do anything else, I'm already making choices. That's what this is about. I'm already making choices, being like, that doesn't fit because it doesn't work with the groove. There's already a groove established, and I know what I want to hear with this. So I'm already into the process without even thinking about this. I've already started making decisions. I've already started having an opinion on this. but not an opinion of whether it's good or bad, but rather an opinion on what this needs. Because once you have an opinion on what something needs, you start to hear the spaces. And when you start to hear the spaces of things, that's when you start to let that influence whatever it is that you're making. Does that make sense? Like, I know that I'm being like super dramatic and like passionate about this shit, but I'm telling you, this is how you do this. This is how you make shit work. I will say that like that is actually why I feel like trance music and like really intricate house music is really difficult to make for me, because like you have to use more tools. Because a lot of times, like within the groove and stuff that you do, like it's very quantized. And for me, like I this is a personal thing, but for me, I like to make very unquantized music. All of this is late or early, like everything is a little bit off grid. But in saying that, whenever you have something that's just straight up 4/4, right? It's or something of the sort. You can make swingy house, I guess, but you really have to like pull all of your tools together of having good sound design, having clean like mixing, having good chord progressions, having good melodic progressions, all that stuff. So, excuse me, that's why I feel like that genre is actually can be more difficult to make, even though like some of the decisions are already made for you. But that goes into the second thing that I was talking about, or maybe the first, of if you have all of your stuff working together really well, like I'm not going to pursue this track by any means, but if all of your drums and your bass are moving together really well, then it gets really easy to get to this point. And then as you can hear, like there's a space there, right? Like do you guys hear that? Like listen to this one more time. I'm just going to deactivate that. Something needs to be there to continue the rhythm. Like, but you hear it. And that's what, at least I do. Like, that's what you want to get into. That's what you want to try to pursue, or that's where you want to try to find, because that's what pulls you in. That's what gets you excited about making that decision, about figuring out what comes next. But if it's like, oh, it's just a kick snare pattern, right? Just like this, then what most people do, to be honest with you, is they do shit like this. Sorry. And there's nothing wrong with this. It's just, I feel like this is a trap that a lot of people get into. They'll just do something like this. Oh, well, there's supposed to be a hat there, and so I'm just gonna... But like it's all like it doesn't become that interesting in that way, at least not to me. And I guess you could kind of wrap this up by starting to think about bass phrasing, which if you haven't seen it, I did a masterclass on Monday about like talking about movement within bass and all that. But like yeah, depending on what you're doing or depending on what you're going for, you can do stuff like this, I guess. We can probably just modulate this. Get some distortion. Get, I don't know, a wavetable or something. And then we can grab some kind of LFO on this. And what we need to do is we need to create space with this. There we go. So like you could do something like this if this is the genre that you're going for, but well, there you go. So, I mean, you absolutely could do something like this, but again, like this isn't the kind of music that I particularly go for. It's more for something of like, here's a context, but you can go like, yeah, you could. But if you start thinking about this as, I'll leave that, but if you start thinking about this as like something that creates a more intricate groove, and you really want to create something that's not even necessarily complex, right? You want to create something that's more just like actually groovy, then you start to get into like more more intricate phrasing. But things start to come together a little bit better with the silence between the percussion inspires the meaning in the groove, or the groovy. Yes, dude. Yes, I've been saying this a lot, and this is something that Cage like hammered into my head, is having silence in between, right? As opposed to just like for 5 fucking minutes. It's about the spaces. It's about spaces, 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 spaces. If you're trying to create something that's funky, not even funky, if you're trying to create something that's groovy, you gotta have spaces in your rhythm. You have to have spaces within everything. Stop calling me out like that. No, I'm calling you out because Cage called me out. Like, if you listen to my older shit that I was making on stream, it's like, it's all the same. Yeah, it's all the same stuff. But you can hear like there's a space between this. So, right, this doesn't really work because these aren't pitting against each other. So maybe you could do something like, I don't know, you start thinking about like influencing the rhythm though, and this influences your decisions of like, how do I make this more groovy? So you might do something like slow this down. So or you might even do something like this to where like you kind of just play along the bass, or you play along the kick. Yeah. And you might even do something like this now to where, again, spaces, spaces, spaces. I'm leaving this little thing right here, that piece of silence, so that way. But now when I'm doing this, like, you see what I'm saying? Again, it's just influencing my decisions about how to make bass lines. And there's no side chaining on this. This bass isn't even interesting. It's just a thing. But I'm just guiding along to the rhythm. That's it. This is the rhythm of the night. Right? And now maybe I kind of just want to repeat that phrase. So I can just copy this like that. Now it can just be like maybe one thing right here. I don't know, something like that. Now we can bum bum. Something of the sort, but it doesn't take too much time. It's like I said, it's kind of a matter like I'm still being guided. I'm not even like we actually have more space there. So I think that's where I wanted that to be. I've done plenty of 140 stuff. There it is. Okay. Cool. So now that we have that, right, we can start thinking about adding that interesting stuff, or adding more interest to this in this way. Hold on one second. Let's go ahead and add some track delay to this. And what we can also do is add a little bit of swing here. So I can do something kind of like this. and just move this over a bit like that. 3, 4. Right? So this isn't quite working, like it's not quite there yet. So part of it is being like, all right, well, even though it's not where I want it to be, I can still move this around and make it fit within the groove. I'm trying to make it match to the groove. And that's where sidechaining can help a lot too. Right? So then when you have something that like you want to make more interesting, I don't know how we got into making 140, but just as a matter of like, not even necessarily committing to the tune, but just like seeing, like exploring and seeing what it could be, you know, then you could do something along the same lines of, you have something here, you make a duplicate of this, right? And then you make a change to it. So let's add like a fuck ton of distortion to this. You can change the vowel, or not the vowel, but you can change the movement of it. All right, let's throw a limiter on here and raise this up. That would be really cool to go like wop wop. So, you know, again, you just start finding shit. So boom, boom, womp womp. So then I'm like, all right, well, where is this supposed to fit within this rhythm? So right here. Let me add a kick. So now we could be like, oh, this would be really sick if there was some kind of little fill right there or something, right? And we could just do something like this and listen to it, because I want it to be like maybe it can be like, I wonder if I can apply the groove to this. Let's see if that works. You can even, professional musicians can take years to make albums. Yeah, for sure. And it's not really about like the time thing. It's really just about like, it's really just about like how you want to make music and stuff. Because I'm sure that like, hold on one second. You know, it could be something like that. It's not really about like a time matter. It's just kind of like a preference thing. Okay, there we go. Maybe we can move this a little bit off and make it swing. But you see what I'm saying with this? Like, this isn't really what I want to spend my time on, but it grooves, right? And all you have to do is keep going. All you have to do is just keep making those decisions and keep making the groove as dope as possible. But the other thing that you start realizing with this is that you are, in one way or another, creating assets. So if I were to do something like this and join this together, here we go. This is how you write your intro. So we go this way. And I've got masterclasses on this, by the way, if anybody's interested. It's available to all the Arcana members, but I guess, you know, whatever. It's cool. Just talking about stuff is always fun. But now we can use this same melody or the same riff. Yeah, same shit, to make an intro, right? All we have to do is just change the octave. So maybe if it'll play, we just set this to like here, maybe. One, two, three, four, five. And then I'm going to show you guys how easy this is. So you do something like that where you have this set to macro 1, then you go here, you grab this guy, one of the main rhythms of the element, or one of the main elements of the tune. Fade it in. Add something interesting over time. Could just be something very simple like that, and then maybe just like an octave or so, like just a touch. And then you slowly fade this in as this comes out. Bring it up. Most important thing right here is create silence right before, create just a moment right before the drop or right before the main section. So you can even go like this. Off, or high passing works as well. It doesn't really matter, but now that we have this, right? And then you get into, you know, just letting the beat go. I actually like that better here. Cool. Now, once you have something like that, then you do the same thing where you duplicate it and then you variate it. Maybe, you know, the variation aspect doesn't even need to be that crazy. It could be something like you just switch up the rhythm just a bit. So let me just listen to this real quick. I want it to be like taka taka. 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 Maybe like this. Yeah, that works. Now we can just replace this with a different sound. So I can mute this. Then we can just replace that here. And again, like I don't want to be too picky with this because this is just an example, but you can just change the rhythm like this. or you can just go, you can do something very simple without even making it like more complicated just by doing maybe one of these guys. Just maybe something like that. And again, just bear with me because it's just a matter of like, here's a concept, but like you got to fuck with it and make it like, but I'm trying to go like, so it could be something like this. And sometimes there is a matter of trial and error, but when you have a direction, it makes things a lot easier to work with. So, you change something, and then maybe even on this, you use a different base. Maybe you duplicate this again, and you go here, and then you go, all right, I'm gonna create something different where we're gonna go like this. Maybe I'm gonna use a more complex wavetable. I'll just use a different one. Right, and you can go like this, turn it down by like 2 dB. See you, Puny. Thanks for coming in, bro. And then, sorry, when you get to here, and then you switch it up. Maybe right here you just bounce this, and you go like this. You create a little transition. Okay, so obviously that's not working quite yet, but we can add a filter to this, like so, and just make it really low. That's terrible. But there we go. So maybe it can be like this. There it is. Okay. Now what we can also do with this is dot 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 dot. And then we can just create like a really short thing right here. Dot, 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 dot. And part of it too is like understanding like the mechanics of the genre, right? But creating something swingy like that. And then you go. Maybe you harmonize with it, so maybe you duplicate this and then you add an octave with it, and then you make this like super detuned and like spread it out. But once you have something like that, then you just do the same thing where, you go like this and you do the opposite. It can literally be this simple. It does not have to be anything significant. You can go like that. Boom. Boom. Intro, main section 1, main section 2, outro. Your tune is done. That's all there is to it, guys. And if that's when you start to get more intricate with like your ideas, and you start to be like, all right, well, what else could I do with this? What is the root note of this? I don't remember, but you can start to think about adding more melody or something, or let me see what the root note of this is. It's an F. So you know, you could you know, you can just add to it. It could be very, very simple, or it could just be something as easy as this. Like, that's it. So that's how you know, that's how you very quickly sketch a tune within that. So hopefully that answered your question about like how do you finish tunes. It's really just about getting the arrangement done as quickly as possible. I know that was a very shitty dubstep tune, but it came together very quickly, and that's what it's about. It's just being like, don't overthink shit. Just fucking write the thing. So with that, I tend to take my time on sound design things because the better that my drums are, the better that my basses are, the easier it is for me to want to work with things. The other thing that I could say within like making your stuff fit together is level. Yeah, I've got a ton of tutorials on pads. I could make one. Like, what kind of, were you thinking like a drone pad, or were you thinking like a beautiful pad that's very lush, or were you thinking like soundscapes? Or tell me, talk to me, tell me what you want. Tell me what you want, and I have a sound for it. Just don't be like, can you tell me how to make this sound at 3:30 on Virtual Riot's newest song? Like, that's the one thing that I don't take requests for anymore. Yeah, I'll just wait for your response before I continue doing that. But I do have videos on it, on any kind of like soundscapes, pads, whatever in general. I've got videos on them. I'm kind of trying to think about, like, I've been thinking about wanting to do a new preset pack, but I'm not really sure what I want to do. Give me just 1 second. I'm going to open my phone. Oh my God, I've got 7 text messages. Why do I have so many texts? Who the fuck? Sorry. 1 second. Oh, I'm still waiting on a response. I'll just do a pad. So lush pads is all about movement. What I like to do is usually create chords, slow, evolving. It's movement, but it's all ever evolving. So if you created something, soundscape pads, vocabulary isn't good on pads. Like something that, do you want something that's tonal or something that's more like texture based though? Like something that you would create chords with, or something that would be like background ambience? That would be the best way that I could try to help troubleshoot that. That's okay if the vocabulary isn't there. Don't worry about that. So typically speaking, one of these guys is really good. Oops. You can use just a very, very easy randomizer like this. And slow that bitch down like this. Okay, yeah, I got you. Let's go ahead and create something that's like plus 12, and then detune this just a little bit more. We can grab another randomizer here like this, and we're going to pull this up to about there, pull that down. So this is going to come in at random, but we want to slow this down a lot. So we're already pretty much halfway there. We just want to do a little bit of this. We can open up multipass and add some reverb here. So you usually start with a main texture like this. And if you want to make it like more, I guess, underwater, then you can add a sharper bandpass. But in saying that, what you can do is a few different things. On one end, you can add in, yeah, we'll just add to this. So you can add another one of these randomizers here. And this one is going to do this guy like that, maybe not so loud, but this one will be at like plus 19. So now you've added a fifth, or an octave and a fifth. And now that we've created like all that like big giant, you know, kind of hodgepodge of stuff, we can back off of the drive a bit. We just want to use a little bit of that to bring back, because we're cutting so much, but very slow. Now we can use this to actually create like other aspects of movement. And I actually like to use pitch shifters on this because a lot of times you can get some really interesting things. So if we start adding more of this here, I'll just bring this up like this much. Right. Then we can get into things like delays, which is really nice. It's, I mean, it's anything, but it's just slow. You just make it slow. That's really what it is. It becoming muddled or too bright. Well, mud is generally what you want to do with pads, is for the most part, because it's all like pads are usually all about the mids and mid highs. So if it becomes too loud, you know, or it becomes too shrieky, or you're using like very simple harmonics, then you can just find whatever resonance points are like coming out brightly. So nothing here is too bad except for the sides maybe, but you can just do that. But pads are meant to be in the background usually. But even still, you can do something very large like this and just kind of pull back off of that. And again, just make it very slow. Let's bring in just a regular delay like this, make it bounce, make it duck, go like this. Let's set that to triple. It's like, it's reverb and delays and long sustained releases and filters. It's very similar to Neurobase in my opinion, very similar, but just as a matter of, instead of trying to be aggressive, you're just trying to create spaces. I mean, that's part of it, is like, don't overthink stuff. So once you have that, you know, then what we can do is we can start focusing on the next layer, which we'll just use a sine wave. And I'm just going to keep it very simple, but we can go and make a square with this, like so. And on this, we're going to flip the phase to 180. Go to like, go to an octave-ish. I don't care if it's detuned a little bit, but we're going to send this to lane 2. Right. So now with this, we can build this independently by combining just a bunch of delays on top of each other. So we can use all of the same randomizers and stuff that we've gone and done from the past. So kind of like that. And then maybe we can stack another dual delay, stack a chorus, whatever. You could do whatever the fuck you want, really. But really what you're building is just layers with pads if you're trying to create something complex. If you want to add in some noise to kind of sift through, then you can do stuff like that. But through all this stuff, and then like if this isn't working for you, then you can change some of the stuff here. What part of the arrangements do pads begin at? It depends on the kind of tune, I guess. They can start at the beginning. They can start at, you know, the fucking really anywhere. This is just one way to make stuff. So like I've got, let me see here. Yeah, so looking at some of this older stuff, it's kind of the same deal where I've just got these layers, right, that are kind of taking turns being sent into themselves. These are, I guess, just different FM sources. This is a different style pad. You can see I've still got the band pass. I've got that second layer here. But this stuff is just like pretty much the same thing. In certain areas here, I've added, you know, just different shit. Space channel 6. Space channel 5, you know, we can take a look at that. Same deal. It's all about the band pass. That's a drum loop. Pitch shifters, delays, right? Pitch shifters, delay, pitch shifters, flangers. Like you kind of just go crazy with like trying to keep everything relatively harmonic or like relatively, yeah, relatively in key, I guess. But sevenths or fifths and sevenths are really nice. What do I do to keep the volume stable? Limiter and compression if it gets too crazy. But usually if you modulate the source, or like you make the source, you start with the source of like, if it gets too crazy and peaky, then you kind of control the levels of the input. It's usually a lot easier to work with as opposed to trying to just control the output. But I have things that like fade in and out over time, kind of like so. So I don't know, maybe it would be cool to do like a how do I say, like a pad based off of or pads based off of other shit. This one's really easy. This is just an underwater pad. It's just literally a low pass filter. Phaser, reverb, notch. That's it. That's an Eternum 3. There's some other stuff in here that's pretty nice. Yeah. It might be, that would be because it's hitting your limiter too hard. But again, pitch shifters, convolvers, ensemble, just stereo stuff. And what I don't have in a lot of this stuff that I started doing is mid-side EQing, or like mid-side processing. But, you know. So hopefully that helps. In pads and stuff is like, you can literally just use a sine wave. Or sorry, yeah, you can use a sine wave, but generally speaking, just saws. And a band pass is all you really need. Or a low pass, that works too, but. That last one was like 4. But, I mean, yeah, even just making the same. That's all it has to be. Maybe just a touch of compression could help with taming that peak. So then you can just get into like your detuning and your spread. You can add a stack if you want to. That sounds nice. So now you just get into, you know, doing a bunch of these. And if you start with a good source in general, then it's incredibly helpful. Actually, I'll leave this on. We'll mess with the mix on this. How do I want to do this? We're going to do this instead. That way, it's not going to fuck with that. But that's nice. Right? We can just focus on this layer. And this is how you do this, is you just one layer at a time. Now this one can be something completely different. It could be, you know, we could change this into, right? So we can listen to how this chord sounds together. When using subtractive synthesis, how much do I keep? How much do I add back? I don't think that's the right question. It's subtractive synthesis is more of just like the term subtractive is meant to be as a means of when you filter something. Usually subtractive means that you're going to filter something out. That's a contextual thing, but it's not really about adding and taking away. It's more of just about shaping things. And what you want to think more so about is what kind of timbre are you going for, I think would be the best way to describe that. The timbre is what's going to help you figure all that out. Ah, that's nice. Now with this, we can also, I mean, like when band passing and then just after the new harmonics messing up the timbre, well, like I said, like there's kind of a matter of like tuning it to taste, because you might, and it also depends on what context you're going for. Like right now, this is just the sound on its own, so I don't have anything to compare it against, so I can make something that's full frequency. But if you're trying to make a pad that fits in the background, you want to just be mindful about like what other frequencies are occupying that space. So if you got a bass that's like really mid heavy, then you might actually want to make a pad that's just only on the sides. Or you might want to make something that's more in the mid high end to complement and create like that sandwich of the frequency range. Yeah, this is shaping up nicely. So we can make that a little bit slower, make that a little bit slower, and then we can kind of just like play along with this. Set that to duck. You're doing a good job of learning. Thank you. You know, so let's say this timbre right here, I want to make it more metallic. Well, what I can do is I can start to kind of comb through this, kind of like so. I could also use like a really short delay on this, kind of like this. You can see that that kind of creates like more of a metallic texture. What I missed, I streamed the album earlier. We did that together. If you want this to be, you know, something that's more of like, you know, kind of harsh, then maybe we can place that behind the slice EQ like this. So. We can also add a different comb filter and flip this, make this maybe like here, and see what that does, and then maybe add like a flanger. I like when there is a crystallic shimmer sometimes. Do I mix bit crusher for that? A crystallic shimmer? When I think of crystals, I think of like the oscillator itself, and I also think about delays. Because usually when you have something that's like, just focus on this layer for a second. And you make this like, let me turn these off. Let me turn this off as well. But see how that kind of, I would say that kind of is what shimmers. And if you want to make it like faster, then you can. So it's really about the frequency range. You can bit crush it if you want, but the crystalline stuff is really about the kind of oscillator that you send into it more than anything. And I would say you want to use FM. Yeah, I would say that you want to use more FM going into it, and that's just a delay. Because if we were to use a bit crusher here, like you can, I would maybe try that. But that doesn't really give the timbre that you're looking for. Also, if you reduce the... that just seems more lo-fi to me than anything. But if you have something that's like a chime, that's actually like, hold on one second. That sounds really cool already. But you do something that's like this and change the harmonic and then add a very quick, you gotta mix the wet and dry ratio. Then you can kind of add to this with some other stuff as well, maybe things that are more in key. Go to this one. And if you were to use like a filter like this, so here where you kind of pull this off, and we add the same thing. You turn it down and you high pass everything. That sounds nice. Something that you could also do is adjust the mix. What instruments do you low pass and high pass or band pass when mixing? Anything that's not bass usually has a high pass on it, or anything that's not a bass or a kick. Unless if there's like some kind of low end rumble, that's like supposed to be like a something like that, then even then. But really, like a band pass, bass can be band pass. That's how you create monster sounds. You could do, yeah, like it. The answer to all these questions is it depends. I wish that I could give you like more like concrete stuff, but it always depends. It always depends on what it is that you're trying to do, on what your intent is, you know, and what you're trying to fit in. Like if you're wanting to do something that's like just full on, how much slope is organic? Now I feel like you're just fucking with me. Because like you got to know that depends. What is organic, right? That would be my question to you. What does that mean? Are you talking about filter slope? Well, filtering in general is like not organic. So in order to do that, you have to do processing to make it sound organic. Like if you want this bell to sound like it's real, you have to like you have to process it after orgasmic. You have to process the filter timbre to where it's going to actually sound like it could be somewhat like more realistic in that sense. So I would do something like, you can make a custom comb filter, which would get into physical modeling. Shout out to Data Broth for teaching me this trick. I've kind of refined it in my own way, but he kind of showed me the mechanics of how a lot of this stuff works. But having something like this and then key tracking it can be extremely helpful. So you can go note and just follow it along, plus 12. Set the range to 12. Set the midpoint to somewhere around like here, I'd say. You duplicate that. You add just a touch of short reverb going into it. Like very, very short. That's still too much. I'm trying to simulate how energy decays chronologically. Well, you would have to get really into, like, you'd want to study frequency then, right? Because not all frequencies are equal. Higher frequencies vibrate faster through the air, right? Whereas, you know, low frequencies tend to oscillate slower. So when you're talking about all this stuff that comes out, and you also have to talk about proximity, right? Am I listening to something that's way the fuck over there, or am I listening to something that's right here in front of me? You have to think about space and how your ears perceive space, because that's really like, and I think like if that's what you're interested in, then you could do that. But for me in particular, like ND material, yeah, like, well, if you're talking about that, then you just need to place your thing in a space, right? That's why convolution reverb is great, because we can literally go through any of this stuff. Look, space is real. And we could be like, all right, well, I want to listen to this instrument inside of an old church. Okay, well, that's the full mix of that. So if we were to take that and just kind of gently introduce some of it, I wouldn't necessarily say that sounds like a church to me, but you know, it's there. Maybe we can make the church smaller. That sounds a little more realistic. That's nice. You could also do stuff like this to where you've got, I don't know, something that's like, I don't know, 24, right? That sounds really good. We could do something that's like this to where, you know, it's just kind of, we could use the channel mixer here. Sorry, I'll just use a stereo because I think that'd be easier to do. And what we can do with this is we can actually force this into mono like this, and then we can just pan this left and right. So we can use one of these guys. It doesn't really matter. Let's use this one because we're not really using it a lot, but we can play with that, and then we can grab another gain, kind of like how we did before. I guess we'll just use another one now, but kind of pull that down a little bit and slow it down. I don't know, to be honest. I think it depends on the sound. And it also depends on the resonance. I would say, like, if you want it to not sound like a Moog, then have as least resonance as possible and the most gentle slope as possible, because then that just sounds like volume automation. as opposed to, it sounds more like volume automation as opposed to it's a filter. If you're talking about proximity, right, the further away something is, the darker it gets, because only the lower frequencies travel further, where the energy of high frequencies fizzle out very quickly. So if you're trying to make something like go far away and you're doing filtering on that sense, then you probably want the most gentle slope, because that will make it seem like you're doing that. Or you can use something called a Doppler, which I don't own. I don't really care for it, but you can use something like a Doppler, and that'll kind of it'll delay everything, but as it delays everything, it makes it filter out, or just focuses more so on the low frequencies. So they're all just slower than one hertz. Hertz? They're all randomized. These are all randoms.
Thousands of years ago, in the forest of mysticism, one young lad by the name of Alckemy had dared enter into the world of sound design through the means of phase plant. He had, no pun intended, planted the seeds of that which grew into the most luscious pad anyone has ever gazed their ears on. They started seeing with their ears and hearing with their tongues. Just slow. Like I said, it doesn't really, like, this, all of this stuff is kind of arbitrary. It's really just a matter of, like, make it slow. You'll notice you have to use your ears, right? Because none of these are the same. They're all just set at different things, and I'm like, oh, this sounds good. Oh, this sounds good. Oh, this sounds good. But when it comes into, you know, making stuff like this or making pads in general, you just start with this. This is it. And you shape this. Sorry, this is the first one that we did. Oops. I don't know how I enter, but... Oh, I think I hit K. Right.
Forgive me by the chords, by the way. Like, this is all I have, so I'm trying to make cool chords, but yeah. So once you do that, though, then you just build layers, and the best way to do that is with snap heap or with multipass, because you just create these parallel chains that each have different processing to them. But this is the exact same shit as. Man, that sounds really good. I'm gonna save this patch. We'll call it we'll call it Star Ocean. That's what it sounds like to me. I'm gonna toss that in Eternum 5.
In the cosmic sea, never before sailed by man, the one pirate ship who dared set sail upon the rocky waves. Through the hurricanes, one brave soul dared enter upon the whirlpool of knowledge. But was met with a great challenge of that which ended in certain death. However, a miracle was found at the bottom of the sea. And that man became known as Roger the Great. I don't know. But yeah, you get the point, right? So this is how I make pads, by fucking around and playing around with narration. It's one thing that you can do. You can also do things that are arpeggiators and all that stuff, and really just like things that fade in is really what it's about. Like I said, because with this, you've got this one that's constant, and this one is coming in at different times. This one is coming in at different times, and it kind of just like helps you fade stuff in without it sounding too muddy. And that's how I particularly try to mix stuff. So as opposed to everything being at 100%, you just kind of bring in a little this, a little that. You know, you could also do something to where like you have something sent to here instead. So this goes to lane 3. Maybe this goes to lane 3. You turn this on, but now we turn this one on, and we should probably still use a filter or something to where it's not so like crazy peaky. Voice acting chops. Hey, most excellent. And now we've got something that is a little bit percussive, but we also have something that is sustained. We can also create a delay with this here if we wanted to. Just like a ton of feedback. I'm gonna use the dual delay because I like that one better for this. Good job, Alckemy. By the way, I like to see a spectrum graph when you're mixing if it doesn't get in the way of your workflow. Well, you can usually only have one window or one plugin window open at a time, so that's not. I don't know if that's feasible or not. I guess I could, but like that doesn't really matter unless if I'm in the mixing of a tune, because I'm not mixing while I'm making pads. I'm just doing stuff. But this is kind of like, use your ears for one. That's the best way I could describe that, but I'm gonna have to route your audio into a mixer then. Ah, that sounds really cool.
Yeah, and then like stuff gets really fun when you start adding arpeggiators into this. Dun. And you go like really slow. I'm gonna turn this off for just a sec. I'm just pushing C, and we're getting like all of this like really nice. And this is like a great way to come up with like musical ideas, so just like having a pad. And a lot of times, like if I start with music like this, I end up like resampling this. And that's where I get into like my my stuff. So demanding. But you also want to consider that like it doesn't all have to be within the synth. You can also do like, this is really good for making like choirs and stuff. Going on the couch. All right, bro. Be easy. Yo, thank you so much for the sub, bro.
Soul Steel.
Thank you, man. Really appreciate it. Does load? Oh, it's still loading. The man. Now I'm on my comp. Gonna route your audio so I can see better. Okay. Oh, that's what I was talking about. Was like you can have more than one window open, but only one channel at a time. So unless if I'm doing something on the master, you're not gonna be able to. You're not gonna be able to see the whole thing at all times. Why is this taking so long? Maybe if I stop playing this and give it time to. Bro, come on. So, I guess since we're talking about pads, we can talk about a different kind of pad. I was supposed to be doing bass and drum design, but whatever. Hopefully this is still interesting stuff to you. We're gonna make a multi-sample here. And see if there's anything in D sharp minor that we can pull up. Oh, is that right? Okay. So we can... It's interesting to me, but you can change subject if you're going too far off topic. No, it's fine. I just... the title of the tune or the stream was then bass drum design, so... But it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm going to set this to freeze. And we want to go here, turn that on, set this to texture mode. There we go. Now we can kind of just throw some chorus on this. And then a band pass. We'll just use a filter because this already has a randomizer on it. And then we can just turn that down. And then I really like the big sky. This is, like I said, somebody got this for me, but fuck, does it sound great. Built-in plugins VST? No. They're exclusive to Bitwig. So now we've got some nice little texture that's coming along with that. We can grab a multipass here and do my version of OTT, which is just this. Again, that's another Bitwig by nature, like even if you're using third-party VSTs, if you turn them off, they turn the CPU off. So yeah, if you turn the LFOs off and stuff, it'll. But the modulators really don't fuck with the CPU like that. Sorry. Wrong thing. Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. I've gotten some positive reception from the album. And yeah, I do enjoy it quite a bit, so. So now that we have stuff like this, we can kind of play around with other things. And that's why I like making music like this. Like, I guess you would consider it to be just like ambient or whatever, but it reminds me of some kind of like time library or something, you know, or just like diving away in books, studying some whole other shit. But, oh, wrong. What? But you can do something like this as well, where you just take something like an octave, maybe, and retrigger this maybe every 2 bars. What's next? More music. We'll probably get back to beat making pretty soon. Just set this to be like really slow here, and it's gonna take a second, but it'll be worth it. And I love Portal sometimes because it makes these melodies for you, right? So like, I just heard that and I'm gonna add that in. Dun, 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 dun. Right? Hey Alex, welcome back, bro. Thanks. I usually do this when I make generative things, but it's not something that I haven't done many times in the past. And this was how Reanimated started, was I just made something kind of vibey like this. But no, I've got a lot of tunes that like I haven't necessarily done like an official release on, but but I've got stuff like this. Avin, do you remember when I put this together? If you're here. That's up on the web. That's up on YouTube actually as a Metroid concept tune. So there's that. There's also I think I have one that is called the Time Library, but the Time Library, yeah. So, oh god, should probably fix that. But yeah, just stuff like this. Also like this kind of stuff. Yeah, I do lots of different types of things. I make lo-fi. Sometimes I do stuff that's just piano-based composition. Sometimes I've done garage, which I did a couple days ago, where you're trying to do something like Burial, which I think we got pretty fucking close. The bass needs work, but but it still stems into this, right? It's still the same like approach, I would say. I've done a couple of remixes. I've done stuff that's kind of this one I did on stream as well. Only What She'll Think. This one was a lot of fun. I pretty much stream sniped a Twitch streamer that was doing music, and I was like, hey, can I record you and make some music? And I pretty much forced him into a collaboration, but I really enjoy this tune. I made this one earlier this year and put it out for free. It's been a while since I've done something like this, but this is like more of my older like style. I still really like it though. It's very like emotional, I guess. Yeah, anyway, that's just grooving along with the drums. But yeah, it was super Cohen sound inspired. And that's why I wanted to make music like back in the day. Even though that was made earlier this year, but like there's a lot of nods that I took, a lot of keynotes that I took outside of just the bass design and stuff. But just that arrangement type of thing, kind of like A View from Above, Starlight, I think is what it's called, like one of their older tunes with Asa. Is it Asa or Asa? I don't remember. But yeah, I don't know. I make a lot of different kinds of stuff. It just kind of depends. Sometimes I make things that are just like this was the laziest tune that I've made in a long time. Lazy IDM. It's going to sound complicated, but it's really not. It's really just like I made like a melody and then I made a drum loop and then I just started cutting it up. But this was really fun to do. I'm just going to play like the second half of the tune. I think I actually just did like some kind of like randomized arpeggiator on this and just let it ride. This is like one of those tunes that I was like, I just like this because I can fall asleep to it, and it's nothing that's really all that crazy. I've done other stuff that's like I made one drum and bass tune this year. I would never release this, but it was fun to do. Okay. Yeah, somebody asked me to do like a drum and bass thing, and I did that, and that was a lot of fun. We did a jungle tune that was a little bit more, well, jungly as opposed to drum and bass. I love jungle. This isn't like my best tune or whatever, but it was a lot of fun to make. I don't think that I put a limiter on this, so it's not very loud, but that was super fun. This was a lo-fi tune that I did earlier this year. The sub is way too fucking loud, but whatever. Oh, I recorded piano with my phone, and then I just tossed it in here and just did like, just threw it together. That snare is way too fucking loud. Sub is so loud. Hashtag only sad music. This was a submission from for like a beat battle that I did with Saturate. This one I like a lot. Yeah. What else did I do? Oh, I did a trance tune. That was really fun. I also did an instance of a breakbeat tune. So this was another remix competition that I did. Yeah, but it evolves into something that's like trancey, and then it goes into something that's like breakbeatish. That one was really cool. I did a different trance project. This one was really shitty, but it was just fun to make. Not anymore. They used to. Yeah, so there's that. What else did I do that was pretty fun? That was very different. Oh, I did like a neuro techno tune. That was pretty fun to do. Pretty memes, but pretty funny. It sounds all like shitty at the beginning, but then it widens out and it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. Pretty memes. Pretty funny though. This one I did a remix of one of those famous TikTokers. I don't remember what his name is, but he's a comedian. It was pretty funny though. This one I just did on a random Monday, and this was I think earlier in the year. It says 10/10/22, but that wasn't. It was way earlier. How do I feel about songs that are like 7 minutes or longer? I usually don't make tunes that long anymore. I've made a couple, but I usually don't, unless if it's like really fucking interesting and like it progresses extremely fast and like is super dynamic, then it's too long. My tunes, like the tunes on my album, the longest one that I have is 5 minutes. And even then there's a section in there that I'm like, I probably didn't need to add that, but I just left it in anyways. But for the most part, like shorter, especially if you want people to play your shit out, like they're most likely not going to play that, you know. But it depends on the genre, you know. Like if you listen to John Hopkins, he's got tons of tunes that are really long, but like it's like a concept album, so it almost feels like you're listening to the same song the entire time, but different, but it's still interesting. So likewise though, there are some tunes that I have that are like 9 minutes that are like progressive break tunes that I'm like, I'm gonna listen to this whole fucking thing because it's so good. Angel from was it Matt Derry or Lost Tribe? Yeah, Angel from Lost Tribe. I think this tune is like, yeah, this is 9 minutes, but it's fucking worth it. It's so worth it. The whole tune with this, or like the whole thing with this, moves so well. It's just like, oh, dude, it's so fucking good. So you can do it, but using Telebus rival consoles as reference tracks, I don't know those tunes, but I'll look them up because I'm curious. But I mean, it just depends on what you're doing. It depends on what you're trying to do. For me, like with my stuff, like I just try to get to the point and I try to get to like what I want people to listen to. So, and I try to like keep it as interesting as possible and make it as dynamic as possible, because rather about thinking about length, I usually think about like write a main riff and then just make that shit fucking interesting. Like make it as cool and as dynamic as possible and whatever. And then if you like it, then you can like, just like replay it, you know, because most of the time a lot of songs just repeat the same shit anyways. So I'm like, I'd much rather somebody play my song again and be like, I want to hear that again, rather than be like halfway into the song, the best part of the tune is coming up, but it's 7 minutes in, but you have to like, you know what I mean? So I don't want them to like feel like they got to skip to that part, or they're just going to skip the whole tune in general because they don't have the patience to listen to it. So I mean, at the end of the day, if that's what you like and you're going to listen to it, then make what you want. But for me, I've kind of not even necessarily settled. I've just found a happy place with making shorter tunes because it helps me finish songs faster. It helps me write more music. It helps me write more ideas. And I don't feel like I have to force myself into like this fucking crazy narrative on every tune. It's just, nope, just make a beat. Just make a tune, or just make a, you know, make that really interesting for a minute, do some shit to it. And I'm like, I'm done. That's great. I can move on. And that's what I've done with all of these tunes here. Like, they've taken a lot of work, don't get me wrong, like hours, but you know, Doppelganger, like, or Doppelgangster, like it was just dun 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 ba 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 ba, and I'm like, great, boom boom, because it, like, to me, like when I listen to something like this, like it doesn't feel like 2.5 minutes. You know, it doesn't feel like short. It feels like it's a good length. That's like, oh, okay, yeah. And then when you're done, it's like, okay, I really enjoyed that. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Yeah, like Faxing Berlin, that shit is so fucking long. And I'm like, I don't want to listen to that. Like, we're in a different time. Like, if you listen to music that came out in like the 2000s to 2010, like especially in like electronic music, like Bar 9 is a great example. Like, I love his stuff and he's got really interesting ideas, but he plays the same, or back in the day, he played the same main section without making hardly any changes to anything for 5 minutes, because that's what people like. They like the repetitiveness of it, the boo, 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 and then it was just that zero, like that was it. And then like there was a little bit of a break, and then went right back into the same thing. And like, you know, don't get me wrong, it was very like, it was very profound when it came out, because nobody was making sounds like that. But now looking at things in 2020 hindsight 2020, whatever the fuck, whatever that expression is, like the music is not like that anymore. The modern electronic music is not like, hell, even fucking pop music isn't like that anymore. Like, go listen to the Thong song, right? You know, like, I just subconsciously sung that, but like it's the same fucking shit for 5 minutes, same verse, same thing, and it's just like, bro, it doesn't, like, it's unnecessary like time to even put into that. Just hit the replay button. Yeah, of course, I'm really big on like paying attention to chat and having discussions and stuff with that, so no worries. I'm trying to think, or I'm trying to see if there was any other stuff that I wrote this year that was I wrote a lot of garbage for sure. Wrote a lot of shit, like a lot of bad stuff. But it all led up to it all led up to the release of the album. Oh, Dance of the Dead was cool. I actually like this one, but I didn't release it because it was biting too hard off of Eunice. But this one I actually really... It doesn't sound as high quality as the album, because I was still learning a lot of shit at the time. But this one was pretty cool. Oh, there's also Xenophobia. That one was pretty cool too. Yeah, big supporter. Yeah, like the yeah, the sloppy clap, like everyone is drunk. So this was actually something that I made that was like, this was before I started any of the tunes of the album. Like, it was still during my learning period, so there was that. But I did really enjoy throwing that one together. I also released Sozu. I think I put that one out as a free deal. That one was really fun too. I actually played Sozu out on at the event. Let me see if I can find it. But yeah, Sozu was really cool. Here it is. Oh, and then we also, DMTR and I also released a collaboration this year as well. So there's that. And that's actually on a label. That's like my first label release. It's not, he did most of the work, so I can't really like take a whole lot of credit for it, but you know, he put me on, so that was cool. I do like this tune a lot though. It's very just like, this was like an intro into the album that was like what's to come, because it's like not quite there yet, but it has like implications of it getting there. So bass is too fucking loud, but love this tune. Yeah, big fan of that tune. It's poorly mixed, but that was, again, this was like when I was just figuring a lot of shit out. There's another one on here too, Xenophobia. I made a lot of music this year. Let me see if I can find it. Here it is. I wanted this to be something that was like inspired by Frequent and all that. I actually sent this to Frequent and he gave me some, he was like, cool, good job. Thanks, Frequent. But yeah, this, again, just the mixing was just not there. Like the energy of the tunes and like also the understanding of composition just wasn't there. The drums just aren't there. The motto of 2020, man. Clip it and limit. Oh, man. This chord progression is... So, yeah, the second half of this gets even better though. Like I said, my production just wasn't there yet. It's still not. I could go back and fix this, but I kind of just am happy with leaving it the way that it is, if that makes sense. But even still, like, I can still appreciate the idea and still like respect the concept, I guess. There is one tune that I'll play here in a second that I do want to finish. I've just been sitting on it for a couple years. Yeah. All right. So there's that. The last one that I wanted to... Oh, there's a couple of these that I did as well that are like in that same style that like what we just made today. So there's this one. Which is just nice and ambient. And there's this one, which I really like. This one, it was just like this very short motif of like dun dun, and I was like, oh man, I really want to listen to this for fucking 6 minutes. It feels like, I don't mean to be all like edgelord or anything, but it, like, when I wrote this, it felt like a waltz in a dream. So chill. Yeah, that's one of my favorite ones. So anyways, the last thing that I wanted to play for you all was Avon Challenge way down here. This is one that I want to finish. It's called Avin, who has been here forever, asked me to write something when I was having a hard time way back in 2020, maybe 2020. I don't know. Sometime those 3 years were such a fucking blur, so I don't remember. But this one in particular was very like, I don't know. This one hit me really hard, and I don't know what I want to do to it, but I want to finish this at some point. I just love the chord progression though. I don't know, it just feels super nostalgic. So yeah, I guess those are tunes that did not make the album, but just stuff of like the progression, I guess, is kind of cool to get that out. But now that I've done a lot of studying and a lot of shit, like, I don't know if you've noticed or not, but the energy with the older tunes is just like not nearly as big as what I've released with the album. And I think that's one of the big things that I was waiting for. Was I was just like, I just want this to be really powerful. I want this to be like really fucking strong and have everything hit really hard. And a lot of it was mixing, a lot of it was understanding how to make better drums, a lot of it was understanding how to mix bass a lot better. A lot of it was just composition. It was just studying and getting better at composition in general. But yeah, I'm pretty proud, and I still have a lot to learn, a lot to work on. But man, I made a lot of fucking tunes, and I haven't even played like a fraction of them that I've like made and like finished the arrangement and abandoned. But I kind of like hit that stride or that sweet spot for the album, and I was just like, oh, okay, I got it. And I might lose it, but at the same time, it's like the formula that I've created with making beats and like just making stuff better has been so much easier to do that I'm just like, I don't feel so stressed making music anymore. And I think that's part of what it was. I was so fucking stressed out to just even make something, because I was like, it's got to be better, it's got to be this, it's got to be that. And now it's like, nah, I just write a beat. Like today I wrote pretty much 2 tunes. I did that like bullshit like dubstep thing when I was talking about how to finish music and stuff, and then even for this, like, this is just something that's kind of an easy going vibe that you can kind of just listen to for a few minutes. And that's what I like, is just creating, always creating. Right? So even with this, we can just quickly bounce out an arrangement. I'm starting to hear other stuff that I think would be nice with this as well. And that's what is really cool, to like have something that's like have something that like is just a constant, because you start coming up with all these melodic ideas. Filter here. And then what's really nice about this stuff is like it's very slow paced, so you can kind of just let it loop while you're coming up with ideas. So you can do something like really chill like this. See you, Alex. Thanks for coming in, bro. Go like that. Go there. Option Q. 1/4. And then I wanted to make this just a little bit more. There we go. Make it kind of like wintry. So we just keep adding to this. It'd be kind of nice to have some kind of like warping sound, maybe. That's really cool that did that. So we can do like, we'll use a ladder filter on here, and then be like, wow, you know, something like that. Kind of just take out some of the low end of this. Chorus. Yeah. Maybe we can do something that's kind of like a choir and just let it shimmer. I think I should have like mallets or something. Yeah, here it is. Hopefully I can turn that off and just make my own. Oh, that's nice. Oh, I've never used this before. I don't even know what the fuck this is. Oh, it's decent though. Okay. Alright, we can fuck with it. That's kind of nice. You can just do something like that. Very elaborate triads, I know. I know. I know. What we can do is we can bounce this to a new channel. And then as an intro here, we'll just kind of lead that in. Like so. I can't fucking see. There we go. Okay. Maybe we'll make this like half of just kind of. Well, right on, everybody. Thank you all for joining me today. I don't really have anything else that I want to do. I gotta go hit the restroom, but if I guess tomorrow, well, depending on what time. Wait, tomorrow's Thursday. Friday. Tomorrow I've got a pretty long day, but Friday I'll probably do a little bit of early production or so, and then get into doing some more beat making stuff. But thank you all so much for joining me on my album release today. You guys can check, if you're just coming in, the earlier stuff. The commentary and all that, it's available at alckemy.com, where you can listen on Spotify/iTunes, which is in the description. Thank you guys, man. I really had a great time today. I hope that you guys enjoyed yourselves as well. But much love to you. I will be around, and a lot of more streams to come. So thanks, everybody. I'll see you later.